let's directly go to the visuals. This is the Hindon River behind me, you see, and now Hindon is actually flowing at somewhere around 200 meters level, which is actually putting authorities on alert. Yes, the water level which is expected where the danger mark arises is around 205.8 meters. So Hindon in particular in Ghaziabad hasn't reached that breached that very particular point, but yes, the waters have started to recede and in fact come inside the low-lying areas. You can see this is bank of Hindon now, and in fact many locals were saying that most of these areas which were actually located just adjacent to the water banks of river Hindon were inundated from the last couple of days. And in fact you can also see in these visuals how certain shanties have also completely submerged under the water. In fact, on the other side you see Karhera Gaon, which has also been one of the worst affected areas during these flood-like situations. And in fact Hindon is just a tributary to river Yamuna, and in fact the authorities have maintained that a total of around 1,000 people have been evacuated from all the low-lying areas in Ghaziabad and adjoining areas where people's life have been affected, though the authorities are on constant alert. Talking about the particular two worst affected areas remains to be Karhera Gaon and Uttar Nanglia. So these are the two places which are the worst affected right now, and in fact around 100 people from these particular areas have been evacuated by the authorities as of now. If we go by the NDRF officials number, the NDRF officials have maintained that till 1900 hours yesterday around 100 people have been evacuated. And in fact I have some locals with me. आपने आखिरी बार हिंडन को इस स्वरूप में कब देखा था?
ये तो एक हफ्ता पहले देखा था, कम पानी था। एक हफ्ता पहले पानी कम था इसमें।
कम था। तो अब क्या स्थिति बनी हुई है कि क्या कुछ लोग आए हैं? कहाँ तक पानी भर गया है यहाँ पे?
यहाँ तक तो पानी पूरा कटहरा वगैरह सब डूब चुका है। इसमें पानी बहुत काफी हो चुका है। सिटी 4 पूरा डूब गया इसमें सर।
करेरा गांव पूरा डूबा पड़ा है।
करारा
तक पानी।
कहाँ तक पानी है?
साहिबाबाद तक पानी पहुँच गया है।
अच्छा, तो आप पहले मेरे को ये भी बता रहे थे कि यहाँ पे काफी सारे लोग खेती बाड़ी करते थे, तो वो भी सारे हटा दिए गए हैं।
वो निकल गए, खेती बाड़ी करते थे, इसमें सब्जी उब्जी बोते थे, वो लोग अपने सब उधर निकल गए। डूब गया पूरा, इनका झुग्गी उग्गी जो सब डूब गई, सब झुग्गी उग्गी सब डूब गई सर।
Well, this is how this entire area has been affected, and in fact the gentleman was just telling about how there were certain people who were doing their farming work over here at the banks of river Hindon, and in fact now they have all been most of them have been evacuated. Certain people left themselves because 1 week back also we know how situation turned back in the national capital, and after that Hindon River is also been affected, and in fact the authorities have maintained that in the last couple of days around 10,000 cusecs of water has been released in this very river, due to which this situation has arisen. And in fact on this side as well you can see how deep the water is. In fact the temple has entirely submerged under the water, and in fact the buildings over there also you see in your screens, that is in particular Karhera Gaon, which has been completely inundated in water. क्या हालात बने कुछ दिनों में यहाँ पे और किस तरीके से लोगों की जिंदगी पे प्रभाव पड़ा है?
ये हालात तो अभी बने जी, पहले तो कुछ भी नहीं था। पूरा करेड़ा गांव देख रहे हो, तो पूरा गांव खाली करवा देगा नीचे से। कल में खाली करवाया है।
तो तकरीबन कितने लोगों को निकाला होगा वहाँ से?
देख रहे हो बिजली घर, इसके पल्ली साइड से जाओगे करेड़े की तरफ कोई इतना पानी है भाई। अभी वहाँ से आए, वहीं से आए अभी भाईजान।
तो आप बता रहे थे यहाँ पे लोग खेती बाड़ी भी करते थे, सब चीजें करते थे।
पेड़ है इसके पल्ली साइड में, खेत हैं पूरे।
अच्छा,
खेत हैं पूरे।
तो मतलब पहले पानी इस जो आप पेड़ बता रहे हैं उसके उस तरफ रहता था और अब इधर तक आ गया है।
अब पानी पहले इधर रहता था, अब पानी उधर पहुंच गया है सारा खेतों में।
So this is the version coming in from the local people who stay at this very point, where they say that water used to be at this very point. Now those entire plains have been flooded, which are where a lot of people used to do farming jobs. And in fact you can see in these visuals also how this temple is inundated in water. And in fact not only that, what we're also given to understand is that the authorities here in Ghaziabad have made sure that all those people who are living in these low-lying areas to be shifted to nearby schools or hospitals where they can stay for some time, so that no life could be lost in this entire issue, because we saw how situation turned bad in Delhi after incessant rainfalls. Though the authorities in Ghaziabad have maintained that all the teams, be it the NDRF team, police teams, they have been kept on alert, so that in case the water level rises any further, they could take action very promptly. Particular is Uttar Nangla village, which is completely inundated in water, and in fact this is the Hindon River's water which has come inside this particular village. You can see how people have been evacuated from this very space. Still there are certain people who are staying in their homes because they're refusing to actually exit their home. They say that we will live on the first floor but we're not going to leave our homes, and in fact you can see now this entire village is completely deserted, and in fact there is a school also over here which is also completely submerged under the water. Though talking about the water levels, as you rightly mentioned, that yes, Yamuna once again has breached the danger mark. Here in Uttar Pradesh and in particular in Ghaziabad, the water level still remains under the danger mark. In Hindon River specifically, the danger mark is somewhere around 205.8 meters, and right now the water levels are somewhere around 199 to 200 meters. So the water levels are still way below the danger mark, but the worrisome situation is that these are the low-lying areas near River Hindon which are witnessing heavy waterlogging and flooding over here. In fact, all those houses you can see, these lies under Attor Nangla area, and in fact all these houses have been completely inundated in water, and in fact the locals here have told me that at that very spot the water is somewhere around 7 to 8 feet, and in fact I have some locals also with me over here who are actually talking about the situation with me as to what exactly transpired in this entire situation. भाई साहब पहले तो अपना नाम बताइए।
मेरा नाम सर नरेंद्र।
नरेंद्र जी, कब से पानी भरा है यहाँ पे और क्या हालात रहे हैं इसके?
ये सर पिछले 5 दिन से पानी भरा हुआ है बहुत ज्यादा। तो इधर जो आप पीछे मकान देख रहे हो ना, ये सब एक पूरा आदमी गरीब आदमी बेचारे ये सब खाली कर दिए हैं। ऐसा प्रशासन भी आता है, एनडीआरएफ भी बुलाने पड़ी, मुझे बहुत ज्यादा पानी हो गया, पानी अभी भी बढ़ा हुआ है।
तो एनडीआरएफ ने जो बचाव का अभियान किया था वो पूरा इसी एरिया में किया
कर देता है। ये पूरा खाली है, एक आधा इक्का दुक्का जैसे ये है या कहीं कहीं आपको देख रहे हैं, ये सब खाली करें। बाजी कुछ जैसे ये मकान नहीं छोड़ रहे हैं अपने, अगर हम यहीं रहेंगे तो कुछ है, बाकी सब खाली करा लिया।
तो पिछले 5 दिन से पानी बढ़ रहा है, घट रहा है या वैसे ही है?
बढ़ रहा है, पानी का भाव इधर से कम होगा। इधर आप इधर देखोगे ना तो उधर ज्यादा हो गया पानी का भाव, इधर कम है लेकिन बढ़ रहा बहुत ज्यादा है पानी।
तकरीबन कितने लोग रहते हैं इस गाँव में? कितने लोग तकरीबन, कितने घर है टोटल?
500 से 1000 के बीच में घर है। काफी पॉपुलेशन इधर बहुत ज्यादा है।
और ज्यादातर इलाकों से निकाल लिया लोगों को बाहर?
सबको निकाल लिया। अब ये खाली मकान है, कोई इक्का दुक्का कोई धारा होगा वैसे है नहीं। जब ये वापस फिर गई यहाँ से करके।
वेल, आई हैव ऑल्सो जेंटलमैन ओवर हियर। एक बात बताइए, आपने पहले आखिरी बार ऐसी स्थिति कब देखी थी इस गांव के अंदर? आखिरी बार कब इतना पानी भरा था?
सन 78 में।
So you can see, Sakshi, how the locals are saying that last when they saw this entire situation was way back, approximately 3 to 4 decades back, and you can only just imagine the plight of people over here. First we witnessed flooding in national capital, now same sort of situation is happening here in Ghaziabad and in particular in Noida. Yes, it's a tributary of river Ganga, and then eventually it meets in river Yamuna. So this is the very situation, and in fact this is how people are also struggling to commute from one place to another. And in fact the authorities, what they have said is that NDRF team have evacuated around 1,000 people in these low-lying areas, and in fact from this particular area around 100 people were rescued. In fact that rescue operation was launched yesterday night when certain people complained of in fact being stuck on that very part of that very road. So right now situation remains grim on the ground, though the authorities have maintained that these levels could in fact rise further, and the DMs of the areas and in fact the police forces, everyone has been kept on alert. When we in the early morning, sources within the NDRF has also told CNN News 18 that operations were on from the last 4 to 5 days, but today the situation is worse. And in fact the gentleman whom we spoke, he also maintained that the situation kept on worsening over here. In fact this is the 5th or the 6th day of waterlogging and flooding which this particular village is witnessing. This is the city forest Ghaziabad area, and this entire area is also inundated in water and completely submerged under the water. In fact this is one of a famous tourist spot here in Ghaziabad where a lot of people come usually on weekends, weekdays to take a look and in fact to have a feel of how the forest area in fact looks like. And in fact this is located somewhere around near Nagar extension here in Ghaziabad, and you can see now this entire area is completely submerged under the water. The authorities over here say that around 4 to 5 feet of water is logged inside this very area, and in fact now they have have closed entry for general public to go beyond this point. So this is the reason why we are witnessing such heavy water logging and in fact flooding in these areas. This is in particular Hindon River water which is being witnessed in this entire area, and in fact you can see this water has come from actually the Hindon River, which is right adjacent to this very city forest area. In fact you can also see this car completely stuck over here. In fact this is a car of a local official. Someone just told us that, and in fact now security guards, extra security guards have also put in place just to make sure that no one gets inside. And in fact you can see a lot of animals have also been rescued from inside this very area. In fact these are the rabbits who were actually who were staying in some of the areas which were actually which are now submerged under the water. You can see these rabbits have been rescued, and in fact the people from the authorities, Ghaziabad authorities, and in fact NDRF officials are also working continuously to actually evacuate certain life which is actually stuck, animal life which is stuck inside this very Ghaziabad city forest. And this is in fact the Hindon River which we talked about, which is actually flooding right now. You can see how high the level of water is right now, and the locals who are actually trying to remove these sorts of plant blockades, they say that because of this bridge there is a lot of obstruction for the water to actually come from this side to that side of the place, and that is why this entire area is also witnessing flood-like situation. You can see this is not just standing water. This water has current, and in fact high current. This water is flowing at a brisk pace now. Though the authorities have maintained that right now there is no need to worry, but what the need of the hour is to be alert. See how these people are working just to remove any sort of blockade which has happened because of the overflowing of the river. So right now NDRF teams are also deployed in the area, and in fact what they are also saying is that around 1,000 people have been evacuated from the low-lying areas. And not only that, but what they are also doing right now, they are actually continuously telling the people that if you are staying somewhere in the low-lying areas, you should actually leave those areas and in fact move to the safer locations. The UP government has also made a lot of makeshift shelters, and in fact what the people on the ground have said, yes, they have got permission from the authorities to move to these areas. So you can see how life has taken hit, and in fact a lot of makeshift equipments have been brought here by the authorities so that these blockades could be removed, and in fact the functioning of and in fact the movement of water could be smooth so that the excess water can be removed if any untoward situation arises. This is Yash Goel with video journalist Arjun Singh for CNN News 18 here in Ghaziabad.